Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, we got a Degroot Spire Arbovite we're going to take a stab at. We're going to get this thing into a new pot. So this is one of my nursery discount finds for $10. And I loved the thick trunk down here. We got a little bit of root flare down here and splits into these three twin trunk really, but all of a sudden this third one on here. I made a couple of cuts in the fall just to kind of clean it up a little bit. We got a little bit of dieback. But let's get it into a pot and see what we can do with the Degroot Spire Arbovite. Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. In the sense that I have a branch that splits into two shoots in here, so I'm probably going to cut this thing off right about here this fall. I've taken my knob cutter and I've gotten rid of some of that. So I just put them on the bottom, growing upwards into the bag. We fill it up with trees and then we water as we need to. We try to get rid of those air pockets. Got lots of rain yesterday, so I'm anticipating a little bit of a soggy mess today, but we'll see what we can do to get this thing cleaned up. There are a bunch of arborvitaes out there in the world, and some of them, especially this Degroot I found, look a lot like a Hinoki cypress. So native to Minnesota, not necessarily native to Minnesota, I'm sorry, but this is cold hardy, Minnesota hardy. So this is going to be one of my trees that I can leave outside in the winter as long as I keep it away from the critters that I don't like. And so Hinoki cypress, a little more spendy. This Arbovite is, budget bonsai-ing. Taking nursery stock at fractions of the cost when you look in the discount section. And I got this guy for 10 bucks. So I'm going to clean them up, going to repot them, and we're going to start styling them in the next couple years to see what we can get. And I'll kind of style them after another tree that I have, or try to mimic it a little bit, or do some comparing and contrasting. And then of course, I don't have to cold store this one, cold frame it. I'll be able to just keep it outside. Again, the biggest thing for me is making sure I keep most of the critters away. I seem to have more trouble with bunnies than anything else in the wintertime. Now that it's spring and there's all kinds of things for them to get at. The trees aren't their number one priority anymore, which is a good thing. So again, like a Hinoki cypress in look and style, the foliage structure has some similarities. I do believe I don't have them right here to contrast and compare side by side, but my Hinoki has a little bit finer or a little bit smaller foliage structure, I do believe. The foliage is a little bit smaller. Lots of roots in here. Looking good. So part of the reason why I liked this tree when I saw it in the nursery was this big bulky bottom. It has a nice little flare out right here, and it's got this nice movement right here. So I liked all that big thick flare at the Navari down there. And it looks like it goes down a little bit further than I thought, and maybe spreads out into a couple of other possible directions. I see a root over here that's pretty thick. That'll be below the soil line, I think, over here when we're all said and done. But we're going to keep plugging away at this thing and then start cutting some roots off. We're making some good progress on the spreading out the roots, getting rid of some of that dirt. We're not going to keep probably half of this root structure, so I'm going to start clipping away. Some of these roots are stemming from up here and winding down around, tucked in, and we got a lot more sifting through, but we're not going to be keeping them this long. So I'm going to go ahead and now make a little bit more aggressive cuts at these roots down here and shorten this guy up. So just took that right off. We don't need any of that. That's going to allow me now to get some more of this dirt down here and spread out these roots even more. And now that I cut a whole bunch of roots, some of those that are tucked in and curved around, I can start to get at. So I'm going to keep plowing forward with some more soil extraction. I'm not going to bare root this guy. Before I go any further, I want to see which pot we're going to use. And that'll determine how much more I cut away. My first thought is that I was going to need a big one for my big tree. And right now, with the way the roots are, that would fit in there pretty good. But it's more like if that was a square, it'd be kind of a good fit for it. A lot of room on either side now. But pretty close to that top of the soil line right there, excuse me. My other option, my next size smaller, is one of those where you go, I think it's a little too small. Now if I make it a little bit shallower, I can certainly fit this in there. But it's that category where it's just in between the two, and I don't have one that's in between the two. That looks like that fits in there pretty well right now and could grow a couple more years, and then we could put it in that other pot. The problem with this, of course, is a little too much room in there, and we use a lot more bonsai soil as well. But that does, I could lean this one a little bit this way, like that. Of course, if I do that, I just got to get rid of some of this stuff up front that I was a little afraid to get rid of in the spring, or in the fall rather. I don't want to cut too much more roots out. You can see I'm probably about half gone with the roots already. So I'm going to save the medium-sized one, and I'm going to go with the larger one today. I think I'm going to go with that one. I'll feel a little bit more comfortable. I'll put a little bit more big bonsai soil on the bottom, and then I'll fit my medium blend for the rest of it, and I should be good. So I'm just going to lower it down just a little bit more before we go ahead and start thinking about wiring some things in here. So as I get down here to the bottom where we're trying to thin it out a little bit, there's this great big root right here that I'm probably going to cut off. I don't think I'm going to need that root. That's going to help me with that bottom section. So I'm going to come in here, get that big one out right there. Now we'll flare it out just a little bit more here. That loosened up a fair amount of these bottom roots. We wanted it to sit in the pot just a little bit lower. So now we can make a final run through here. Not going to go too much narrower. Just going to see where these roots are going here. There's a couple roots at the top that I might just clean up the tree a little bit before we put it in the pot too. But now with our bigger pot, now we're down lower where I need to be. That sits at a nice comfortable angle right there, doesn't it? The opposite angle that I want though. I want it to be more like that. So let's see if we can get rid of a little of this clumpy side over here. All right, now let's go to that top part. Hard to see on camera for sure, but I got a lot of scraggly roots just kind of growing up the top right here. I usually can see a lot of those when I get the soil in there, and I'll start clipping a couple of them away, but I'm going to get rid of a couple of them here where I can see them. And a couple up here that are growing backwards here. I got this root right here growing up and around and back down. So I'm just going to cut that off right here. There. We'll do the rest after I bury it and see which ones stick above the surface. So we have 4 holes in the bottom of this pot, so we're just going to go back to front on both of them, and I think we'll be good. So we're going to start with some bigger soil on that bottom layer. Big thing right about there. And again, this is going to be gone right here. Got this nice flare down here. I'm going to go ahead and put that in. I see some root structure sticking up out of the ground here, so I'm going to go underneath this front root, these front roots. I'm going to come back down here. The other one is going to have to come around. I think I'm going to come through the same set of roots, to be honest. I'm liking how that's feeling. get it a little bit tighter. Pulling up and twisting her tight. Pulling her up, twisting her tight. It's a little bit heavier tree, heavier pot, but I can lift it up pretty good. Again, I'm going to cut off a lot of that extra so don't damage roots next time. I'm going to put one more scoop of big in, and then we'll go medium. Let's go 2. And there we go. So we got a lot of soil here on the sides. It's just soil. We're going to compact it nonetheless, especially by the dirt. I don't have very many roots. Even looks good on this side. So here's the left side. Look at that. I kind of like that side. We get lucky oftentimes in bonsai, and it looks decent from both sides. I may pick this as the front only because I love the way this branch flares out. This one's a little bit too much in our face, but less than in our face that way. And I like the way the slant works on this side much better. So there you go. I may use that as my front. Let's give it a little bit of water so the rocks can settle in there a little bit more. Of course, we can always change the front of our tree the next time we pot it. A lot of times in the developing stage of our trees, we're not so concerned about the front because it's probably going to go through a lot of metamorphosis in the coming years and a lot of changes overall. So we don't have to absolutely pick a final front. But I have to decide that if I cut these branches off right here, do I want this as the front? Or is that a nice back structure back there and I have this as the front and I cut a couple of these branches off? I like this branch right down here. I love this curl up here and this movement here. So I got this branch that kind of comes up and folds over. I could even possibly wire this to go separate this way with some guy wire possibly, or some thick wire. Yeah, it's still a bit of a conundrum. So there's one front. Here's another front. I sure like that better. I don't know if I couldn't see this, maybe I would like this better. Then I think this would be a big long trunk that does not much of anything. This one's not as long and it's hidden right here. So we can start to curve this way. I think I will trim it as this is the front. I've got some dead stuff on here. Get rid of that right away. And this provides a nice little curlicue branch right here. I could even chop this right here and make it just go there to there, but that'd be a big thick to thin, so it'd be maybe a little bit too aggressive. If I cut this down right to here, this would become the new leader of this front branch, and that might just be able to bend up and grow more. This I'm going to cut off because it's pointing straight up in the air. Block some of that there. Dead branch back there. So though I like this branch right here, I want to make sure that this already goes right here. The main branch comes up to here where my hand is, but it's pretty big. And if I cut it back, there's a really nice secondary branch right there that if I cut it here, you already got natural movement away from us right there. So I definitely will cut it back a little bit for right now. It's right there. And then wire will could bring this down a little bit. And there's a branch back here. Just going to clean up a little bit of the crotch areas of the trees where there's some extra growth, some of this dieback. If I can get rid of most of the dieback, then I can see what's left. Get rid of that one hanging down. Because who knows, once we get our growing season, which one of these will stay and which one of them will completely die off. So this one's right in the front of the tree. Most of it looks, it's just in the way. So I can get that. Yeah, so if I can get this tree right here, if I can get this branch to go over this way and separate these two, I would have a nice looking tree. So right now they cross each other a little too much, but we're going to worry about that later. I'm not going to wire it today. That'll be something we do in the fall. Make this one just a little tidier for right now. This would come down here. This one back here may just come off, but I'm going to leave it on for right now. We'll just see what comes back this spring. Just making things a little bit shorter and getting rid of those bottom branches and getting rid of the dieback. Back here, we see the tree branches going up here, and I got a nice branch back here. Right here, look at that nice movement right there. Boom, boom, boom. So I'm just going to go right ahead and cut this extra big branch off here. I don't want that on there anymore. There we go. Gets this shape a little bit more conjugal shape. We'll just leave that right there. So now I get kind of my Christmas tree shape a little bit there. Again, we got to see what it's going to do this first year in this new soil and after this transplant. And again, I'm just cleaning off some of the extra dieback and the stuff real close to this, to the crotches of the branches, just to clean it up a little bit so we can see trunk. Now from the back side, it still doesn't even look that bad, and this stuff that I was going to cut off to make this the front, I still could, but that would make my tree very narrow, so I'll let those two branches right here stay for now, and we might be able to, with wire, kind of like maybe one go in and one go out down the road here. So all I have to do is just maybe clean it up a little bit. Again, so a good 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch from where the branches branch off. We can cut off some of that stuff that's just growing real close to where it hits the secondary and the primary branches. And it just cleans it up a little bit overall. And some of this stuff is just brown and not very healthy. All right. So there we have it. So this one wires down in this fall. I can get this down here, open up this a little bit more. This might end up coming off. This might end up coming off, so we can see more of what's going on here. We got two back to back here. I'm just going to cut that one off right now. All right. So we have a little bit of a conical shape. And I think we're going to leave it there for today. We'll just see what happens when we let it sit outside and get into the spring. So there we go. Another tree done. Hey, thanks for joining everybody for Dave's Bonsai. I'm Dave Weiss. Everybody stay safe out there, and we'll get another one here sooner than later because I got a lot of trees to do to take care of this spring. So there you go. A Degroot Spire Arbovite. All set to go. All right, we'll catch you on the next one. Love that trunk. Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. In the sense that I have a branch that splits into two shoots in here, so I'm probably going to cut this thing off right about here this fall. I've taken my knob cutter and I've gotten rid of some of that. So I just put them on the bottom, growing upwards into the bag. We fill it up with trees and then we water as we need to. We try to get rid of those air pockets.